Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., just staring at the ceiling? Maybe you shuffle to the bathroom, grab a sip of water, or just sit in the quiet and wonder, why does this keep happening? You're not alone. In fact, so many older adults experience this exact thing. Night after night, like clockwork, you wake up in the early hours, frustrated, tired, and wondering what your body's trying to tell you. It's easy to blame it on getting older, but the truth is there's usually more going on beneath the surface. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't just a random habit your body picked up overnight. It can actually be a sign of what's happening inside, physically, emotionally, and even hormonally. And the good news? Once you understand why it's happening, you can finally do something about it. Sleep plays such a critical role in your health, especially as you age. It's when your body heals, your brain resets, and your energy gets restored. But when that deep, restful sleep gets broken night after night, it can wear on you, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. It affects how clearly you think, how steady you feel on your feet, even how happy or irritable you are the next day. And if this has been happening to you more and more lately, it's not something you should just accept and push through. There's a reason behind it, and understanding that reason is the first step toward better rest. So let's talk about what could really be going on when your eyes pop open at 3 a.m. One of the most common reasons older adults find themselves waking up during those early morning hours is changes in how the body produces melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that helps regulate your sleep cycle. It's kind of like nature's signal that it's time to wind down and drift off. But as you age, your body naturally starts to produce less of it. That means your internal clock can start feeling a little off. You might fall asleep earlier in the evening, but then wake up too early, sometimes long before the sun comes up, because your body simply thinks it's had enough rest. But we both know that waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't feel like a full night's sleep. It leaves you groggy and drained, just when you're supposed to be feeling restored. On top of that, light exposure plays a big role in how your melatonin levels behave. If you're not getting enough natural sunlight during the day, or if you're exposed to too much artificial light in the evening from TVs or phones, it can throw your sleep cycle even further out of balance. That's why sometimes, even if you think you're doing everything right, your body is still confused about when it should be asleep and when it should be alert. Another often overlooked reason for waking up at 3 a.m. is related to your blood sugar. Yes, really, your blood sugar levels can have a direct impact on your sleep. During the night, especially in those early morning hours, your body is still hard at work behind the scenes. If your blood sugar drops too low while you're sleeping, your body may react by releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to bring your sugar back up. But here's the catch. Those hormones also wake you up. You might not feel hungry, but you'll feel alert, restless, and unable to get back to sleep. And you won't always realize that it's your blood sugar that stirred you. This is especially important if you eat dinner really early in the evening or skip meals during the day. Your body ends up running on empty through the night, and those low glucose levels can be enough to jolt you awake. Something as simple as having a small protein-rich snack in the evening, like a piece of turkey, a handful of nuts, or some Greek yogurt, can sometimes help keep your levels steady through the night. There's also a deeply emotional side to all this. You see, 3 a.m. is a strange hour. It's dark, quiet, and there's nothing to distract you. That's when your thoughts get louder and your mind starts to wander. Worry has a funny way of creeping in when the world is still. Whether it's concerns about your health, your family, your future, or even things from the past, those thoughts can stir up stress that triggers your nervous system. And when your brain senses stress, your body reacts like it's in danger. Yes, even when you're just lying in bed. That little spike in cortisol, it can be enough to pull you right out of sleep, even if nothing has physically changed around you. Stress is sneaky like that. It doesn't always show up as panic or anxiety. Sometimes it shows up as sleeplessness, or waking up at the same time every night, for no obvious reason. That's why emotional well-being is so closely tied to sleep quality. If something's been weighing on your mind, your sleep will likely be the first place you notice it. Let's not forget the physical side either. As we age, certain medical conditions become more common. Things like sleep apnea, arthritis, restless leg syndrome, and frequent trips to the bathroom. All of these can interrupt your sleep without you even realizing it's happening night after night. And the problem is, once you've woken up, especially in the middle of a sleep cycle, it can be really hard to drift off again. You might lie there for hours, tossing and turning, knowing full well that come morning, you're going to feel it in your body and your mood. Now I want you to hear this. Waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't mean you're broken or doing something wrong. It means your body is sending you signals. And once you learn to listen to those signals and respond with simple supportive changes, your sleep can get better. You don't have to settle for restless nights and groggy mornings. You truly don't. Now that we've touched on how things like melatonin, blood sugar, stress, and health conditions can play a role in these 3 a.m. wake-ups, let's move on to how your sleep environment and daily habits could be silently contributing to. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when it comes to those restless 3 a.m. wake-ups, your sleep environment. You might not think much of it, especially if you've had the same bedroom setup for years. But the truth is, even small things in your environment can quietly interfere with your ability to fall back asleep or stay asleep in the first place. Think about the temperature in your room. As we get older, our bodies become a bit more sensitive to shifts in temperature, especially at night. If your bedroom gets too warm or too chilly in the early morning hours, it can nudge you awake without you even realizing that's what did it. Our core body temperature naturally drops as we sleep. So if the room becomes too cold, your body may actually jolt you awake to help you warm up. On the flip side, if it gets too warm, say you've got too many covers on or the heater kicks on, you might wake up feeling sweaty or restless. That's why finding that sweet spot in room temperature is so important. Cool and comfortable usually works best, somewhere around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, though it varies from person to person. Then there's light, especially artificial light. Light is a powerful signal to your brain. It tells your body when it's time to be alert and when it's time to rest. But sometimes even a little light creeping in from a hallway, a digital clock, or a street lamp outside your window can signal your brain to wake up prematurely. And if you happen to glance at your phone when you wake up in the middle of the night, that blue light can throw off your body's natural melatonin production and make it even harder to get back to sleep. Your brain basically starts thinking, oh, is it morning already? And just like that, your chance of drifting off again slips away. Even noises that seem minor during the day can seem amplified at night. Maybe it's a creaky floorboard, a neighbor's dog barking in the distance, or the hum of an old appliance. Your brain is much more alert to sound when you're in a light stage of sleep, or when you're hovering between sleep and wakefulness in those early morning hours. It's like your body's on high alert, just waiting for a reason to snap fully awake. If you're a light sleeper, or your partner moves around a lot, it can make those 3 a.m. interruptions even more frequent. But here's something a lot of people don't realize. What you do during the day has just as much impact on your nighttime sleep as what happens in your bedroom. If you've ever had a lazy day where you barely moved around, maybe stayed in the same chair for hours reading or watching TV, and then found yourself staring at the ceiling at night, you know exactly what I mean. Our bodies are built to move. Physical activity during the day, even something as simple as a 20-minute walk or doing gentle stretches, helps regulate your internal clock. It burns off that extra energy and creates a natural sense of tiredness that makes it easier to fall and stay asleep. Not only that, but being active helps lower stress, which we talked about earlier. And stress, as subtle or buried as it may be, has a sneaky way of showing up in the middle of the night. It can be the quiet thoughts you don't say out loud, the worries you brush aside during the day, but at 3 a.m. with no distractions they come out to play. That's why many sleep experts recommend having a calming evening routine, something predictable, relaxing, and completely your own. Maybe it's turning off the television an hour before bed, dimming the lights, sipping a warm herbal tea, or doing a few deep breaths or gentle prayers to clear your mind. You're basically signaling to your brain that it's time to wind down, not rev up. Another important piece that often catches people by surprise is caffeine. Most of us think of coffee and say, well, I only drink it in the morning. But as we age, our bodies process caffeine more slowly. So even if you have your last cup at 10 a.m. or noon, it can still linger in your system well into the evening. And it's not just coffee. You'd be surprised how many teas, sodas, and even pain relievers contain caffeine. That little boost that used to fade away quickly in your 40s can stick around longer in your 60s or 70s, disrupting your ability to fall into deep restorative sleep. So it's worth checking what you're consuming during the day and seeing if cutting back even just a little makes a difference. And let's not forget about medications. As you get older, you may be taking prescriptions for blood pressure, heart health, arthritis, or other common conditions. But some of those medications, especially diuretics or steroids, can interfere with your sleep cycle. Some cause you to wake up to use the bathroom. Others can make you feel jittery, restless, or cause your sleep to be lighter. The tricky part is that these side effects often get blamed on aging when they might actually be tied to a particular pill or timing of a dose. If you've noticed your 3 a.m. wake-up started around the same time as a new medication, it's worth having a gentle conversation with your doctor. Sometimes even just adjusting when you take a pill, like moving it to the morning instead of at night, can make a huge difference in your sleep. You see, when you really take a closer look at all these pieces, the environment, your habits, your routines, even what you eat and drink, it becomes clear that waking up at 3 a.m. isn't some random curse that comes with age. It's your body talking to you. And luckily, it's something you can respond to with care. You're not stuck with it. You're not powerless. Every little change you make, switching off the screens earlier, keeping your room a little cooler, adjusting your caffeine intake, adds up to a better night's rest and brighter mornings. And that matters. Because how you sleep shapes how you feel. Your mood, your memory, your energy, even your immune system, they're all tied to the quality of your rest. So if 3 a.m. has been getting the best of you lately, just know that you have more control than you might think. You're not broken. You're just ready for a few adjustments that honor the way your body works now. Let's keep going and explore how certain overlooked daily rhythms and simple mindset shifts can actually reset your sleep cycle and help you reclaim those peaceful, uninterrupted nights you deserve. Let me know when you'd like me to continue with part 3, and I'll keep the script flowing seamlessly. Now that we've covered some of the common factors that can be keeping you up at 3 a.m., things like your sleep environment, your daily habits, and even the medications you take, let's dive into a few more things that could be influencing your sleep. These are the deeper, more subtle aspects that, once understood, can help you regain control over your sleep cycle and start waking up feeling refreshed, not drained. One of the big things that changes as we get older is the way our bodies process and respond to stress. Stress doesn't have to be something huge, like dealing with a big life crisis. It can be smaller things, little worries that add up over time. Maybe it's the anxiety of being alone at night or concerns about your health. Those little things can feel harmless during the day, but once the lights go out and the world quiets down, they can start to feel much bigger. It's like your brain has a chance to catch up with everything you've pushed aside during the day, and it's trying to make sense of it all in the stillness of the night. This internal stress is one of the leading causes of those middle-of-the-night wake-ups. Your brain becomes so active trying to solve problems or relive events that you end up wide awake at 3 a.m., thinking about everything under the sun. One of the best things you can do to counteract this is to create a buffer zone before bed. Give yourself time to unwind mentally and emotionally. You might not even realize how much you're carrying around with you until you give yourself a moment to pause and reflect. This can be as simple as jotting down a few thoughts or worries in a notebook. Sometimes just getting them out of your head and onto paper can make a huge difference. Meditation is another great tool here. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry. It doesn't have to be complicated. Even 5 minutes of focusing on your breath or repeating a calming mantra can signal to your brain that it's time to wind down. The goal isn't to clear your mind entirely. That's near impossible anyway. It's just to slow things down enough that your brain can switch gears and get ready for rest. Another factor that gets overlooked is our relationship with food, particularly later in the day. Eating heavy meals or drinking too much fluid right before bed can mess with your sleep in ways you might not expect. When you eat a large meal, your body is still working to digest it even after you lie down, and this can keep you from falling into a deep, restful sleep. It's like your body is in a constant state of half awake because it's busy digesting instead of doing the necessary repair and recovery that happens during true rest. And if you're drinking a lot of fluids late at night, it's likely you're going to wake up to use the bathroom. Not ideal when you're trying to enjoy a full night's rest. The timing of your last meal is important too. A light snack in the evening can actually help your body prepare for sleep, especially if it includes things like a small amount of protein and carbohydrates. Think a handful of nuts or a slice of whole grain toast. These foods help boost your serotonin levels, which is the feel-good hormone that helps you relax. But make sure it's not something too heavy or spicy that might irritate your stomach or keep you alert. A heavy meal right before bed or eating something with too much sugar or caffeine can absolutely sabotage your chances of falling back to sleep. Another common issue is the way we think about sleep. I've heard a lot of people say things like, "I'll never sleep the way I used to," and it's true that as we get older, our sleep cycles change. We tend to spend more time in lighter stages of sleep, and it can take longer to fall into the deeper restorative phases. But this doesn't mean it's all downhill from here. It just means that your body might need a little more support to find that deep rest. And one of the simplest things you can do is adjust your mindset. If you wake up at 3 a.m., try not to panic. That sense of urgency or frustration can actually make it harder to fall back asleep. Instead, tell yourself, "I'm okay. It's normal for my body to wake up. I can just relax and go back to sleep when the time is right." If you find yourself regularly waking up at 3 a.m. and just can't seem to get back to sleep, don't get caught in the cycle of trying to force it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is get out of bed and do something relaxing for a little while. Maybe it's reading a book, doing a crossword puzzle, or listening to calming music. Avoid staring at your phone, though trust me on this one. The blue light can confuse your body's natural rhythms and make it harder to drift back off. Instead, focus on keeping your mind relaxed. If you're sitting up and engaging with a quiet activity, it can sometimes trigger the brain to say, "Okay, now I'm ready to go back to sleep." And don't forget about the power of regularity. Our bodies love routine, and that includes your sleep routine. The more consistent you can be with your sleep schedule, even on weekends, the easier it is for your body to regulate its internal clock. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time each day, even if you're not always able to fall asleep right away. Over time, your body will get used to the rhythm, and it'll be easier to fall asleep and stay asleep when you need to. Lastly, remember that a good night's sleep is one of the best gifts you can give yourself, no matter your age. It's not just about getting enough hours of rest, it's about getting quality rest. And while you may not be able to control every factor, like the weather or an occasional bad night, there's so much you can do to make sure your sleep environment is as comfortable as possible. Your habits support your rest, and your mindset is in the right place. So if waking up at 3 a.m. has been a regular thing for you, know this: it's not a sign that you're broken or that it's too late to fix things. Your body is still incredibly resilient. You can make small changes, and those changes can add up to big improvements in the way you feel and the quality of your sleep. Take it one night at a time. Don't be too hard on yourself. And most importantly, don't give up on finding that peaceful, uninterrupted rest you deserve. It's within reach. Thank you for joining me in this conversation today. I hope some of these tips resonate with you, and that you find a path to better sleep. Sleep well, live well, and here's to waking up refreshed and ready for the day ahead.